On this channel, I know I harp a lot about if you feel that you suck, you should just improve yourself and work on improving and all this blah 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 stuff. So let me share with you guys the art stuff that I actually suck at. And I'm gonna open up about my weaknesses, some of my fears, and some of my insecurities about drawing. So even though I've been drawing for a very long time, I still have things that I don't like drawing, or I still have certain hiccups when it comes to drawing. The big one I notice about my work is big head syndrome. Big head syndrome is when you're basically drawing a character and this character looks fine and everything, then you notice that their head is too big and you're just like, why is their head so big? I would normally draw a character, right? And sometimes I take a break. So I take a break, come back, and I'm like, okay, it still looks fine. Usually the next day that I'm looking at the drawing again, when I'm working on it, I'm like, why is their head so freaking huge? So then I would just go and try to size the head, right? But I notice this all the time when I start, especially in profile view. When I start drawing the head, it just becomes bigger and bigger. I think I need to work on my proportions in terms of in profile view with characters. So I also noticed this too in my art school when I majored in animation, so we would have to draw character design sheets, and we'd have this standard design template, and we'd have to measure each, like where the nose is, the eyes, how far apart they are. And I noticed with mine, my head would be bigger, so it wouldn't match up, and I'd be like, why am I drawing the head so huge? And one of my friends was like, it's because you don't have a skull. So when some people draw the side pose, they start with the skull, like this, the head shape. So when I started doing that, I noticed it did help, but my head was still big. So I think that's what I need to work on, because I still do it to this day. Okay, I draw big heads and I don't know why. And I've actually read some comics and graphic novels where I see people, the art in their head is huge, and I'm just like, why is their head so big? Did they not notice? Is this the style? I don't know. But I don't like my big head syndrome, because I'm very particular when it comes to my work, and if it doesn't look good, I just throw it away. So I really need to work on my big head syndrome. The second one is hands. Hands is just terrifying. I think every artist will agree that starting off with hands, or when you start drawing hands, a part of you breaks away slowly. A part of your heart starts crumbling into millions of pieces, and you just slowly go into the fetal position. I think the thing about hands is that they're just so intricate. Even though they're 5 fingers, there's so many different ways to draw hands. But the thing that I find very confusing with hands is that when I'm drawing, I don't know what direction to draw the hand in. So when I look at my hands, I'm like, okay, the thumb touch each other. When you hold out your hands, your thumbs touch each other. But when I'm drawing a character in a different pose, in a different angle, I'm like, where is the thumb? I don't even know in this position if you can see the thumb. And so this one, people will be like, oh, well, you should use reference. And I'll be like, yeah, I use reference. Sometimes reference is not the easiest thing to find, but it's mostly just practice. My hands are okay. They can be a lot better. But I always just find it very confusing when it comes to the angle of the hand and the positioning of the fingers and how thick you want to make the hands look. Some people don't even draw fingernails for their hands, okay? Like, some people just draw the hand and then bam, they're done. Some people are really detailed with the hand, and they have like the creases with the fingers, and what do you call it, the that mount that your thumb has or whatever, and then they'll have like your what is it, I can't speak, by your wrists you see like the bone and stuff. I don't know, but some people make them really realistic. I guess it really depends. But me and hands are okay. I'd say on a scale, like if you were to grade me and hands in our relationship from A to F, I'd say we're about a C plus. Yeah, so that means I need to work more on hands. Number 3 is static poses when drawing characters. So in my animation class, we definitely had to learn about line of action, like the S curve when you're drawing a character, how they're not just like, straight down, right? People aren't just straight down. People have curves and stuff like that. But it's even just simply drawing like character lineup sheets. Like I noticed my character is really stiff and I'm just like, what the fuck? So then I would try to angle their hips a certain way and then it will just look too exaggerated. And I'm just like, this isn't, oh my god, this is just horrible. Sometimes it feels like the more I draw, the less I know, but whatever, that's just part of drawing. But yeah, static poses when drawing characters is probably something I really need to work on, and I don't practice enough of. Also, just more interesting poses, because there's more interesting poses than just putting your hand on your hip and your hand in your pocket. When I look at other character designs, I'm like, okay, well, they're not focused on the really the typical. They're usually focused on the character doing something. So I also noticed too with drawing characters and if you're drawing like a character sheet or whatever, focus on the personality, and then the pose will come with that personality. And I noticed that when you focus on the personality more, the pose is actually more intricate and it's actually a bit difficult to draw because you're like, oh shit, I haven't drawn this before. Why is my character so flamboyant? They have to have their foot in the air like this. How the hell do you even draw the foot in the right way? In the right way, what the hell? So I guess that can help. So that's definitely the advice that I'm gonna be taking. And as I'm saying this, I'm definitely taking my own advice because the next one that I can't stand drawing and I just completely shied away from for many years is drawing animals. Right now I'm drawing a series of birds for this children's book. I'm children's book for a client right now, just to see what kind of birds she wants. But anyway, birds and animals, they used to terrify me. Animals in general terrify me because they're not humans. Humans, they're really easy to draw, and I think they're easier than animals because the thing with animals is that their dynamics is different. Their body shape is different and the anatomy is different. I've studied human anatomy for I don't know how long, so I'm so used to drawing it. But when you learn animals, it is the complete opposite. You're not worried about the torso shape and stuff like that. You're more worried about if how I'm drawing this animal, is it anatomically correct? Like, does this animal look like an animal, or does it look like its legs are gonna break, And sometimes the face as well. Sometimes drawing fur could get really tricky because I don't know if you guys noticed, but my work tends to be really detailed. I like detail. Not super detailed, but I like detail. So I do include my details. And I notice some children's book artists, some children's book illustration, they completely omit the detail. And that's fine. It really depends on the art style and what kind of vibe you're going for. But since I am more of a cartoon realism, I definitely care about texture and material and stuff like that. So if it's a cat, I'm like, okay, what kind of fur does this cat have? And then I try it and I'm like, oh my god, this looks absolutely horrible. I erase it and then I try it again and I'm like, this doesn't even look like a cat anymore. So yeah, animals, yeah. And since I am in the children's book industry, like I really need to just step up my animal game. So that's what I'm going to be working on this year, is stepping up my animal game. And the stuff that I draw, I'm going to do my best to include elements of some kind of animal in them. Number 5 is foreshortening and dynamic poses. I've always been really interested in more slice of life drawing, more just everyday stuff, more simplified stuff. I'm not really big in drawing action poses and fantasy stuff and mythology and boats and ships. I'm just not into that kind of stuff. Like, I just like slice of life, just going to the store, eating some food, having fun with friends kind of stuff. Like, I'm just interested in drawing that stuff. But foreshortening and dynamic poses are just something, it's more like perspective. So a dynamic pose is just something that stands out. It's a pose that is not cliche, okay? It's a pose that is very like, wow. And it uses a lot of perspective, like bird's eye view, and wormhole view, pretty dynamic. So foreshortening basically helps your illustration pop. And I know how to foreshorten a little bit, but I definitely need to practice more. I feel like sometimes I do limit myself because I don't do foreshortening. And when I do it, I don't practice enough, so I get discouraged because it looks so off. But I think I'm gonna do a video where I work on foreshortening just for fun. because it's something that I feel could really make your work pop, because most people do not do foreshortening. How I know someone is decent at drawing is that, or like they have skills, is that they use foreshortening, and you can tell in the illustration that they're very confident in how they use it, even if it doesn't really look good. The fact that they tried is definitely an accomplishment in itself. The 6 is clothes. Now, I love drawing clothes, and I think I'm decent at drawing clothes, but I do lack observation, okay? I lack observation at drawing different kind of clothes because I don't pay attention to what people wear, to be honest. Like, when I draw clothes, I just look on the internet, and I'm just like, okay, what kind of personality does my character have? And what kind of clothes do I think is appealing? But I think it's important to learn how to draw all types of clothes, and even just really simple clothes to intricate clothes and stuff like that. But honestly, this is just a side effect for not caring about mainstream society, I guess, because I really don't give a shit what people wear. But you have to put your characters in something. So I think I can definitely pay more attention to the types of clothes and even trends that will match personality types, because when I see characters drawn with really nice clothes, or even characters drawn with clothes, and I'm just like, this is good, it fits, I'm like, I need to work on that too. It's not necessarily working on the creases and like the folds, because I know some people have issues with clothing and weight. I think I have a pretty good understanding of clothing and weight, and like where creases go and where the folds go to make it look baggy, to make it look tight-fitted or something like that. It's not that. It's more of just stylistically, experimenting, being more creative with the expression of clothes. So I think I need to like do more observation, looking at real clothes, not just clothes on the internet. But some references of some actual clothes and just start drawing them, because that's something I definitely need to work on. Number 7 is background and environments. Till this day, I am still technically afraid of them, even though I've drawn many backgrounds and perspective and stuff when I was in art college and for projects and stuff, but I never felt like I could really do it. I don't know why, but it ties in with perspective, but my brain and background, it just does not compute, and I don't know why. But I do notice when I do take my time drawing backgrounds, it's very fulfilling when you finish a background and you're like, this is exactly what I pictured in my head. So backgrounds have their own fun. The thing with backgrounds is that you have to have a game plan. Okay, so it's not like well, maybe it depends, because some people could just draw backgrounds. If you're just really good at drawing backgrounds, good for you. But some people, like me, I can draw characters without even thinking, okay? Like, I could just draw a character and I'm technically not even thinking about what I'm drawing, and it'll come out decent. But I can draw, if I draw a background, I'm not really sure where the fuck I'm going. I'm like, okay, so this thing in the distance, is this a mountain or is this a building? I don't know, and I'll draw it, and then I'm like, and this is foliage, is this a tree, what the fuck is this? I don't, like, and then it turns out to be shit, and you're just like, this looks fucking retarded, this looks like, what is this? So it's important to kind of know where you're going in terms of your background and environments. I might as well just tie this in with perspective drawing, because perspective is next. I have a friend, and he is phenomenal at perspective, and it's something he loves drawing, and he can draw backgrounds literally all day long, and I'm so jealous of him. I wish I had that grit, because he's super detailed. He loves his detail, and he's just really good at coloring. So with perspective, it's more like knowing where things are in a 3D dimension, and perspective is very strict. You have to learn the basic and the foundation of it for it to make sense, because if your perspective is off, everyone notices it, and that's something that I just don't like. Because like, if one line is out of place, and like if you're drawing a table and you draw at the wrong angle, it messes up the whole picture. It's like a bomb goes off and you're just like, mayday, mayday, this picture is fucking destroyed. I have to fix this. I just spent 6 hours on this goddamn background, and this line is not the way it needs to be. So yeah, that's how I feel sometimes. I feel like I'm in a panic. Sometimes I feel like I am being interrogated by my backgrounds, because it's not they have to be they have to be quality. They have to be quality. Unless you're drawing in a style where you're not worried about what kind of backgrounds, because you can still get away with that. I know a lot of webcomics and their backgrounds are very minimum, but the story still flows well. Or even webcomics where the background is it's very simple, but you can tell that they have a basic understanding of perspective, and so it helps the story be more realistic, and it helps, it actually be more interesting. Even if the background is super stylized, simple, simple foundations, like when something is in the foreground, you draw it bigger. When something's in the background, you draw it smaller. Something like that could really help, your artwork pop. So that was it for what I feel I should work on. In total, that's like 8 things. It's so much stuff, but I'm definitely gonna be working on it. I'm gonna be crossing this stuff out, and I'm not gonna be working on it for 1 whole year and then be like, okay, I'm done. No, this is all I'm gonna be working on these until I get better at it, honestly. And I'm working on the animals first. I want to draw different type of animals and stuff like that, and then work on background, and then just slowly check this stuff off my list. But I think it's important as an artist to definitely know your weaknesses, know what you're not good at, so then no one else can tell you what you're not good at, and then you can just knock that, you could just nip that in the butt and then keep improving and stuff like that. I don't think artists should always, I think it's important that artists know their limitations and the limitations that they put on themselves, so that they can break those and expand their craft. So yeah, that was it for today, and I will see you guys later. Thanks for listening. See ya.